Alright, pimps, stands, studs, and supermans, I am back from EDC Orlando. In today's video, we're going to be talking about, first of all, what's the best subclass in the game? If you ask most people, they're going to say Solar. Obviously, Strand Titan's pretty damn strong as well, but Solar in general is just insane with its access to Radiant and Restoration. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the best Solar weapons to dominate PvE. There will be some familiar faces throughout this video that you probably recognize, and in the current meta, solar weapons have a bit of a higher value than other weapons as you can pair it with your Apex Predator, especially your special weapons, your special solar weapons. You get the full 22% from your Surge mods for both your Apex Predator and your solar special weapon. Before we dive into the list, remember, if you ever want to get your games in their DLC for a cheaper price, you make sure to hit up Instant Gaming, top link in the description, along with a free monthly game giveaway that they do every single month. And if you ever want to stay energized, focused while you're gaming, or, get you a little pick-me-up before you go to the gym, make sure you check out our good buddies over at GFORCE. That link will also be towards the top of the description, and you can always use code Kree for 20% off at checkout. New Passionapalooza flavor is now live. With the introduction out of the way, everybody, let's go ahead and talk about the solar weapons, starting with primaries. Now, the solar primaries are very simple to determine which ones are good. Which ones have incandescent on them? Any solar primary with incandescent automatically shoots it up a bit just because incandescent synergizes so well with solar builds, right? So we'll just go over each primary weapon class that has a weapon with incandescent. We'll do SMGs first. Obviously, you have your good old tried and true Callus mini tool, generally with either threat detector or unrelenting in the first column to match with incandescent in the fourth column. Another good solar SMG that I love a lot is the bug out bag, subsistence, and incandescent. Both of them are 900 RPM SMGs, and they are very similar to one another. Although the Callus mini tool can get enhanced incandescent, but the bug out bag just has more raw impact. Hand cannons, Zali's Bane, baby. Explosive payload, incandescent, straight from the King's Fall raid. Especially this season with that juicy hand cannon buff. It's really hard to go wrong with the Zali's. You can feel its power now, and it's really, really good. The bows. We have the new bow this season, the pre-ADATA Annex. I'm just going to call it the Annex, though. Archer's Tempo, incandescent. As we know, Archer's Tempo is the classic bow perk, as precision hits will decrease your draw time for 3 seconds. We love that, especially on a precision frame bow. If you've never run a Nightfall before, or you just never had the Annex drop for you, then you can go for the Strident Whistle, the other Vanguard bow, but just keep in mind its perk pool is a lot thicker, so you're fighting a little bit more RNG on that front. Auto rifles, I personally love the Abyss Defiant. Admittedly, I do like it with heal clip in the third column. However, because this is a video for solar weapons on generally what you're going to be using solar subclasses, if you're on a solar subclass, then heal clip's not nearly as strong and as valuable because you can just give yourself restoration or cure in other ways. But I definitely at least mention it, right? For scout rifles, just go ahead and go for the Staccato 46. It is a world drop, but Banshee does tend to sell this scout rifle pretty often. For pulse rifles, I hope you guys are doing the Festival of Lost event because the Jurassic Green is pretty nasty with incandescence and subsistence. However, you can always go for the Battler from Dares of Eternity with Demolitionist and incandescent. Both perks can be enhanced because that weapon is craftable. For sidearms, I'm not the biggest fan of sidearms, but I know some people really like the Drang, especially if you have its pattern from season 17. But we also have the new Heliocentric QSC, which is new this season, Season of the Witch. And it can also get heal clip incandescent or demolitionist and incandescent. So if you like sidearms, go for either of those two. And that'll about do it for your main solar primary weapons. Now, we're going to go ahead and move over to the solar special weapons. Alright, now for special weapons, we're going to go ahead and talk about the best ones in slot along with the optimal role for those special weapons. So to start things off, we'll just get the less than ideal ones out the way first. For instance, glaives. If you want a strong, good, close to melee glaive, the Judgment of Kelgoroth from season 19 is your best bet. But you also do have the Lubre's Ruin, which is the Vow of the Disciple raid glaive with immovable object if you want. I'm not a big glaive guy, so let's just go ahead and keep it moving. Go ahead and talk about sniper rifles, which is obviously going to be the Ikelos version 3 with 4 times the charm and focused fury. It is a rapid fire frame, which is the main frame you do want on a sniper rifle these days. And keep in mind, sniper rifles are going to be getting that 15% PvE buff across the board next season. Still definitely would like a bit of a better damage perk, but for now, this is what we're going to make do with. Now, trace rifles, some people definitely like the retrace path. If you have one, at least the old version of it with shoot to loot, that is going to be very nice. However, for some reason, when they added the craftable patterns for these weapons, they took shoot to loot off of it, which does kind of stink. In that case, you're just way better off going with the Acacia's Dejection, the Root of Nightmares trace rifle, something with like Reconstruction and Paracausal Affinity, or Reconstruction and Frenzy. I wouldn't really recommend Incandescent on a trace rifle because that's generally a primary weapons job, and you don't want to just use all of your trace rifle ammo to clear ads like that. Still though, Acacia's Dejection with a fat magazine, some sort of damage perk in the 4th column can be pretty good. For grenade launchers, you do have one solar wave frame in the explosive personality. I wish that bad boy had incandescent. Unfortunately, it does not, but you can definitely make do with something like auto-loading holster and frenzy on it. And then for breach and clear grenade launchers, we still have a decent one, but we could definitely use a new one, you know what I mean? The Empty Vessel is the Vanguard grenade launcher, so you can use your Vanguard Ingrams to crypt it. Definitely you want spike grenades, auto-loading holster, and Vorpal weapon for some sort of swap DPS rotation. For shotguns, I'm going to recommend the Ikelos version 3. However, its glaring weakness is that there is no decent reload perk in the 3rd column. There's no auto-loading holster. There is no overflow. So you might want to go with something like Threat Detector in the 3rd column, but it does have things like Trench Barrel, 1-2 Punch, and Cascade Point in the 4th column. Really good 4th column options, but a bit of a lackluster 3rd column options. Still a really good shotgun though, and it's definitely the best solar shotgun that we have in the game at the moment. Now, I did save the best special class for last because I love me some fusion rifles. We have 2 fusion rifles here to talk about. One is the classic Cartesian Coordinate with the Banshee roll that he sold about 2 years ago at this point. Accelerated coils, lead from gold, Vorpal weapon, all in a rapid fire frame with a charge time masterwork. Will allow you to shoot this thing insanely quick. The Cartesian's a classic fusion rifle at this point. A lot of people use it just in any given activity because it is just that good and very, very versatile. However, it is definitely hard to get a good roll for it if you never bought that one from Banshee. So I'm going to now mention the Eremite. The Eremite is a bit of a polar opposite of the Cartesian Coordinate in the fact that it is a high impact frame, but it is craftable from this Season of the Witch over in the Helm. I recommend a Charge Time Masterwork, Envious Assassin in the 3rd column, along with Control Burst, the dedicated fusion rifle perk that gives you a 20% damage buff, a 10% decreased charge time for hitting every shot in a burst, and you can just use it to keep shooting it and shooting it and shooting it for extended damage phases due to things like Envious Assassin, which can be really useful if you're on like tractor cannon duty or your heavy slot is a bit taken up by something else. The Eremite can still be really good in taking out some healthier enemies or just used for some sustained DPS, like I said, if you are on tractor cannon duty. That is the special weapons list. We are now going to move over to the solar heavies. If it hasn't been apparent already, we're only doing legendary weapons, okay? Cool. Starting off with the solar heavies, we're going to go with our good old machine guns. We have an honorable mention here, the Unwavering Duty, which is the Trials LMG. You can go with Subsistence or auto-loading holster in the 3rd column, and of course Incandescent in the 4th column. However, why use that not super Giga Chad machine gun when you got the GOAT itself, the Fixed Odds, baby? Enhanced Field Prep, Enhanced Incandescent. You can get this bad boy straight from the Duality Dungeon, do some Kaido runs, get all your patterns in one session. Anyone who's watched this channel for a decent amount of time knows how much I love the Fixed Odds. It's honestly my favorite gun in the entire game. I just love it that much. It's so good at what it does. It does it. I don't care that the Unwavering Duty has auto-loading holsters. I don't care. I don't care it's a 450. I'll take my 360 high impact, enhanced incandescent Fixed Odds all day, every day. But most people like the Unwavering Duty, so I had to mention it. But Fixed Odds all the way. It's the GOAT. It's my GOAT. Favorite gun in the game. Let's talk about the obvious in the room. I'm looking at you, rocket launchers. We're talking about the Apex Predator. What is there to say about the Apex Predator that you don't already know? Nothing. You roll with reconstruction in the third column and bait and switch in the fourth column. A reconstruction bait and switch solar rocket launcher, that is an adaptive frame. What more could you ask for? You could also try the bipod roll if you want for just having the sheer volume of extra rockets, but most people are going to be using bait and switch reconstruction for swap rotations. Not much left to say about the Apex Predator because we already know how absurdly good it is. It's the Last Wish raid rocket launcher. Next time Last Wish is in rotation, do some Cali farming, get this pattern. It's probably the most must-have pattern in this entire video. Now for swords, we do have the Throne Cleaver, but that is a Titan exclusive, so I don't really want to talk about it like that. Instead, we're going to just talk about the Caretaker, which is the Season 20 sword that you can decrypt over in the helm. It's an adaptive frame, but its impact can be a little bit on the weaker side. It does have the damage perk of Surrounded in the fourth column, and good old Relentless Strikes in the third column. With a sword, you want to get its impact as high as you possibly can, so put on Jagged Edge. Although if you're going to ever use a sword, it's most likely going to be against Crota, and we know that Bequest is the best legendary sword to use against Crota, just because it has much higher impact than the Caretaker. Grenade launchers are a bit of a tricky spot at the moment, as they do pretty decent by themselves. However, rockets are still just better than they are. You couple the fact that the best solar grenade launcher in the game is the Marshall C, which is a world drop, means you're going to have a pretty tough time going through. Although keep in mind that the Marshall C does have a decent perk combo with Envious Assassin and Explosive Light. Still not as good as the Cataphract Strand GL, which has bait and switch, but we're talking about solar weapons in this video, so I have to mention the Marshall C. And then the last class of weapons we have to talk about is the linear fusion rifles, and it should become to no surprise when I tell you that the best solar linear fusion rifle is the Cataclysmic. The Briar's Contempt can be pretty good inside of the Ghost of the Deep Dungeon or anytime you're fighting a Lucent Hive or a Lucent boss, but 9 times out of 10, the bait and switch Cataclysmic is going to be outright better. You put on 4 times the charm in the third column, and you can shoot up to 10 shots in a row. Very useful, very good, even though we aren't in a linear meta. Linear still have great ammo economy and ammo efficiency compared to something like rockets. And if you want to get yourself the Cataclysmic, it is from the Vow of the Disciple raid. It had its year of glory last year during the year of the Witch Queen, when linears were the main damage option for most groups and most people. But these days, it definitely has fallen behind the curve just a little bit with the linear nerf that we got at the start of Lightfall. But it is still really, really good and efficient with its ammo. And there we have it. The best solar weapons to dominate PvE, as solar weapons are a bit high in the market right now, mainly because the Apex Predator exists. That's like the main reason why, and solar subclasses are so strong. Remember guys, if you do want to get your games in DLC for a cheaper price, you make sure you hit up Instant Gaming, top link in the description, along with that free monthly game giveaway that they do every single month. And of course, our good old buddies at G Fuel, helping you stay energized and focused while you're gaming and kicking some butt. You can always use code Kree for checkout, rather at checkout, for 20% off your purchase. Thank you beautiful people so much for watching the video. It feels great to be back. Y'all have a great day. Be safe. Consider subscribing. Enjoy the bonus clip, and we'll see your beautiful faces in the next one. Adios! Fuck you, Anaru. You ain't about that life. You won't strike me down twice. Oh shit, I need that. Come on!